Now, Ray Fittipaldo was explaining something when we talked to him at 8 o'clock. He said the Steelers are structuring contracts different now. Case in point, the Chooks contract. And, Chris, I got the gist of it in that the money is being changed to different years, right? In terms
Yeah.
of they used to kind of backload them, right? And now the way that the Steelers are structuring contracts and looking at Chooks, and Doug, if you could answer this, I guess, they'll be able to extract themselves from it if Chooks isn't very good after 1 year, much more than they would in the past. Is this true?
I didn't see the details of the contract, but it makes sense. Instead of always putting yourself behind the chains, as they say, having to kick the can down the road of backloading contracts, and if you get rid of people, it's dead money.
Mm-hmm.
If you can front load them and say, okay, we're going to pay you X this year. That's the majority of your contract. Let's say 70% of the money is in the first 2 years. It gives you flexibility after that to be able to, like you said, let go of Chooks and say, you know what, it didn't work out. And then you don't have that cap hit looming over you. And then that affects your decision sometimes. Well, we might as well keep them because the dead money is so good, so great. We're not really going to win anything by letting them go. Then you just get in that perpetual state of spinning your wheels and you're not gaining anything if you make the wrong choice.
Is this indicative of how we should expect them to start doing business going forward? We talk about how the Steelers' way is what it is, and they've always done things more traditionally, but over the past 3 or 4 years now, we've seen some of those things change. We've seen them trade a first-round draft pick for a player. We've seen them put voidable years on the end of deals. We've seen them now do this where they've got what it almost amounts to like an option after the first year of Okorafor's new deal. Should we expect more of this going forward?
I think so, because when you look at it, though, the foundation is set, the foundation is there. But in anything in life, you have to evolve. And there's that saying, adapt or die. There are mechanisms in place that you can take advantage of that is not going to deviate from the core principles you believe in, but can help you get to that goal, which is the standard of winning championships. So why not try to maximize everything you can, but again, not deviate from your core values and your foundation. So I would say it's not a change, it's just an evolution.
Text us, Edgar Snyder and Associates fan. Text line 412-928-9370. Edgar Snyder and Associates reminds you to text responsibly. It is Wednesdays with Whaley. We go inside the mind of a former front office executive and somebody that's been there in the NFL. Trubisky, good or bad? They bring him in. The deal is from a money standpoint, it's not a lot at all. 2 years, $14.25 million. Trubisky, what do they have to lose? That's at least the way I see it.
Well, let's look. I'm thinking about. Let's look at it, and you let me know where you want to start. I'm looking at it from Colbert's point of view, from Tomlin's point of view, or the player point of view.
Let's look at it from Colbert's point of view, and then work that way in through Tomlin and then the player.
All right. So Colbert's point of view is, okay, let's have a plan. Let's get a quarterback in here that, as they say, can bridge the gap. So we got a guy that was picked in the first round, maybe not a first round talent, but you add to competition in that quarterback room. If he wins the job, he's on the low end of starting quarterback money. If he doesn't win the job, you have a veteran quarterback that has played and won in the league and is on the high end of a backup, but nothing that's going to cause you pain and you can live with it. So and then the best part about it, it sets you up to, if one of those quarterbacks you truly believe in the draft falls to you, you can pick them and then they can add to that competition knowing that most likely they won't win it, but they can sit back and learn behind a guy that's been in the league for 5 or 6 years and has gone through dismal seasons with the Bears, but an incredible season with Buffalo. So he's got a worldly view of how this quarterback position should be played so he can learn. And you don't have to throw that draft choice right into the storm and the fire and do sort of like Kansas City where they had Mahomes set a year. And this could be a 2-year sit for this guy. So from a general manager's point of view, this move's not only about this move, but it sets him up for that next move. So I think that was the plan from Colbert's point of view.
Okay, from Tomlin's point of view.
Mike Tomlin's point of view, we've always talked about Mike Tomlin not putting his shine on his assistant coaches. I think with the hiring of Terrell Austin and Brian Flores, he's going to put the shine on those guys to say, okay, I'm going to start relying on you, and this is going to be you guys' defense. And if that defense gets to be top 5 for a year or two, then those guys again are going to start being part of that head coaching conversation. With this Trubisky signing, it's saying, okay, Matt Canada, I believed in you. I kept you after that year. I stuck with you. Show me what you got. Here's a young quarterback, not an 18-year vet, that's come in, that's going to be hungry, that has to reclaim his statue in this league. So he's going to be all open and to anything Matt Canada wants to do. You have the mobility piece that everybody says Canada needs in his offense. So right now, I'm Matt Canada. I'm saying thank you, Coach. Thank you for keeping me, but believing me and giving me the pieces I need to show you what I can do as an offensive coordinator. And if he gets Trubisky to play at a high level and they have success, then Matt Canada's on the fast track to be a head coach in the NFL or college. So if I'm Matt Canada, I got a great smile on my face. Now, from Trubisky's standpoint, it's pretty much the same. Hey, I can go into one of the historic franchises in the league. I have competition, but I think if I believe in myself and do what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to win this. And guess what? In 2 years from now, if I'm playing well, I get another crack at free agency. So I'm going to get paid, and think about 2 years from now what the starting salary is going to be for a starting quarterback. Right now, it's anywhere from 20 to 45. You add 2 more years, it's going to be from 30 to 50 by then. So for him, it's a no lose situation as long as he performs. So if you look at it from those 3 standpoints, I think now obviously Trubisky's got to come in and play well and prove that he can play. That's the wild card in it all. But from everybody's point of view, I think it's a great signing.
Doug Whaley with us every Wednesday as we pick his brain about everything NFL offseason and, of course, Steelers related here on the Fan Morning Show. So what do you make then of the offensive line signings? 2 of them. There's Mason Cole, who's played multiple positions, started some. And then we've got James Daniels, a young guy, 24, hits free agency. There were people that said there's no way the Bears can let this guy get away. He gets away, and the Steelers get him at a pretty good price alongside bringing back a core 4. Does that give you your starting 5 next year?
It not only gives you starting 5, but it gives you a little depth and it gives you a little flexibility, especially with Mason Cole being able to play center guard. You have Green that can play center guard. You got Daniels that fortifies that inside of that line. So especially as with a young quarterback or quarterback that hasn't set his ceiling yet, what you want to do is make sure you have those 3 up front as stout as possible, because when you have pressure off the edge, quarterbacks can, if it's front side, they see it. If it's backside, most of them can feel it. They have ways to step up in the pocket or escape. But when you got pressure coming up the middle, especially as a young guy, you just start looking at the pressure instead of keeping your eyes downfield, and then you get paralyzed and you have nowhere to go. So I think that's their thought process. Let's fortify that inside. We can get by with the outside guys. And then think about it. Another year, those guys are going to hopefully get a little better with coaching and with the scheme and everything like that. So I think that's what their plan was there. Let's get flexibility so we have depth, because there's always going to be injuries. So when you start breaking down these moves, and then you add that they had a serious plan and they're executing it. And the best part about it, they're executing without overextending themselves with gigantic contracts.
Fan Morning Show presented by Matt Mertz Plumbing, now part of the Armstrong Comfort Solutions family. A couple more minutes before we got to get to a break. The Chooks situation, though, no matter what the money is, it just seems strange to bring him back. He's a guy that only gave up 2 sacks, but he had a ton of penalties, and also his run blocking is more than suspect. I don't get the value in Chooks, even if it's for good value.
Well, that beauty's in the eyes of the beholder, especially in a subjective thing like evaluating talent. They may say, hey, we like him. Pat Myers may come in and say, here are the issues with Chooks. Here's how I have a plan to fix it. And then Canada can say, with what we're going to run, if Pat Myers can get him to do this, a lot of that's going to be eliminated, and he has more value to us. So that's one of those wait and see. And worst case scenario, yes, if they draft a tackle and he gets beat out, then you have a guy that is a veteran backup swing type tackle that gives you depth if injuries happen. So I can see why people don't love it, but thinking about it, it's a move that protects themselves not only now, but in the future. And then again, like I said, you just don't know what that system's going to be and how they have a plan to make him better.